like it's stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like it's stir fry. Whip it in the kitchen, wrist twisted like it's stir fry.
Welcome back. My brows are done off camera per usual, so I'm just going to jump right in and then do a highlight on my brow bone. I'm taking my Artist Couture Diamond Glow Powder in the shade Sugar Daddy, and I'm just going to pat that onto the arch of my brow before moving on with my shadows. Now taking my Zulu palette by Juvia, I'm using this warm mustard yellow shade, and I'm just going to warm up my transition area with a large fluffy blending brush, and this is just going to give me a nice transition from that gold into the shades that I'm taking next. Now using the Sunny Orange shade from the palette, I'm going to blend that into my transition area slightly below the yellow, and this is just going to give me a nice seamless blend into my crease and also warm it up a bit more. And now going into my Saharan palette by Juvia, I'm mixing the shades Jamila and Sokoto to give myself a nice punch of sunny reds, like a sunset almost, and this is just going to give a nice pop of color in the crease, and this is also going to be a nice contrast to the cool tones that I'm going to use on my lid. To add some depth to my crease and outer V, I'm taking my Subculture palette by ABH, and I'm using the shade Fudge right here on another tapered blending brush. And I'm not gonna lie, this shade was actually pretty tricky to work with. For whatever reason, it was really wanting to stick to my outer V and not blend out without getting patchy. But with a little bit more work and packing on this color little by little, I was able to have that blend out. It wasn't quite as deep as I should have gone for this look, but you know, we're all learning here, so. And now I'm just going to do a half cut crease and kind of give myself a nice base for my lid shade. And I'm taking my MAC Select Cover Up in NC30 and using a very small precision concealer brush to map out where I want that half cut crease to go, because I did go a little bit higher than I usually do. And once I got that line down and figured out the shape that I wanted, I went in and packed on the concealer to have a nice opaque base. Now going back into my Subculture palette and taking the shade Axis, which is a deep blue green, I'm just going to pack that onto my outer V and deepen it up without having to use like a dark brown or a black. I wanted to keep this color story interesting, so I went ahead and packed that color on and then slightly blended it out, but I'll go back in later to blend it more if necessary. Now I'm going to go off camera and do one eye, and then I'm going to come back with that completed and show you all what I did. So basically I went back into my Saharan palette by Juvia and I took the shade Kia, which is a nice emerald shimmer shade. It has some hints of blues in it as well. It pulls kind of blue. And I'm just going to pack that onto the cut crease area, or the majority of my lid space, and I'm going to leave the inner corner blank, but also make sure I blend it into that Axis shade on the end. And if necessary, I'll go back in with a little bit of Axis on that bullet brush and blend it into Kia just to make sure everything is flowing. Now taking the shade Wodaabe, which is a deep, almost greenish gold, I'm just going to pack that onto my inner corner using the same brush after I wiped it off from the one that I used for Kia. And this shade is just so amazing. I didn't have to wet my brush at all, and both of these shimmer shades went on so beautifully. So I just really loved the way that it popped on my inner corner, but if I felt like I went too far into the lid, I went back into Kia and packed that on to bring it back towards the inner corner, because I didn't want that to be the majority of my eyeshadow look. And then I just took a fluffy brush and flicked away any fallout or kickback, and then took some makeup remover wipes to clean up my outer V and give myself a guide for the wing that I'm going to put on. So I'm first going with my Ruby Kisses Liquid Genius liquid liner in the shade Green Emerald, and this is a shimmery green shade. I felt like this would be a beautiful color to use for my wing liner and to line my lash line, but for the sake of contrast on the outer V, I did go back in with my NYX Epic Ink liner, and I used the black shade of that to go ahead and just outline the bottom edge of my wing on the outside to make sure it stood out. For lashes, I'm taking my Lash Kitty Silk Lashes in the style Hypnotic, and I'm just going to apply those off camera and then come back with that done. Next, I'm going to go into doing my foundation, and today I'm mixing two of my Lancome Teint Idole foundations in the shades 470 and 500, and I'm just applying that and blending it out with a Real Technique stippling brush and just making sure I have a nice base down. For contour today, I'm taking my black Opal stick foundation in the shade Black Walnut, and I'm just going to apply that on the perimeters of my face, you know, around my jawline, cheekbones, and a little bit on my forehead. And I'm just going to blend that out with a smaller stippling brush. I believe this one is from e.l.f. and it is great for blending out my contour. To highlight, I'm going to take my Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Deep, and I'm just going to apply that under my eyes and down my T-zone in the middle of my face. And then I'm going to go in with my CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Concealer in the shade Medium Deep, I believe, and this is kind of a click concealer. And I'm just going to add that under my eyes for a more brightening effect because it is too light for my skin tone in my opinion. And I'm going to set my highlight areas with my CoverGirl Vitalist Powder in the shade Warm Beige. And you guys, I got the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Collection for free from Influencer in a box for testing purposes. And at first I was like, "Shawty, y'all got my color all the way wrong." But I went back and looked, and the Vitalist Healthy Powder is actually a setting powder, so it's not exactly meant to be my shade because it gives a nice sheer effect and it just sets my makeup in place. So I went ahead and tried that, and I think it does perform well as a setting powder. And like I said, the concealer I just used under my eyes for more brightening, and it blends out just fine. So far I'm still working with this collection, but I really think I like it for the time being. And for the perimeter of my face, where I added that contour, instead of using the CoverGirl powder, I actually set it with my Laura Mercier Translucent Medium Deep using a larger powder brush, and I'm just going to do a reverse contour cutting under my jawline with that powder as well to make sure my foundation is set right there. Now to set the contour itself, I'm taking my Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette in medium to dark, and using that dark contour shade, I'm just going to add some more depth where I put the black Opal stick foundation and make sure that's set in place and retains its color. For highlight, I'm going back into my Artist Couture Sugar Daddy Diamond Glow Powder, and I'm going to add that to the peaks of my cheekbones and a little bit on my nose in the center of my face, but for the most part I kept it on my cheekbones. And then for blush, I went into my Nicka K Blush Duo and took that peachy shade that was on the left and applied that in between the highlight and my contour. And now I'm just going to pop off camera and come back with my lower lash line done. So now for the lips, I'm going in with my NYX Lipliner in the shade Y2K to give myself a nice deep brown lip line. Next, I'm taking my liquid lipsticks from the Bold brand in the shades Roux and Praline, and since I'm doing a bit of an ombre lip, I'm going to start with Roux on the outer perimeter of my lips and just fill that in, and once it dries down a little bit, I'm going to take Praline and do the center and just kind of blot it together. I could use a lip brush to make the ombre flow seamlessly, but of course blotting is a bit faster and less work, and sometimes less messy, so go ahead and go with that if it works best. Once those liquid lipsticks dry down, I'm going to go in with a bit of gloss from the Bold brand as well, and this is in the shade Blue Carre, which is a beautiful nude shade, and I'm just going to top that off for a glossy lip, and that's the end of the look. So I hope you enjoy. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!